Hi, I'm Mariam Aftab and you're watching The Coffee Table. And you know that on the show, we are very curious about all sorts of things and we have these fascinating shows for you each time. And today is no different because joining us today on set to talk about the mysteries of the universe is Azhar Salim and Mariam Aftab, both of whom need no introduction from me. So hello and welcome on the set, both of you.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful to have you guys.
How are you?
Here today to talk to me about all sorts of fantastic and wonderful things, and you know I'm really excited. So Mariam, you've been you are a tarot card reader and you are a healer and you do all sorts of wonderful things, and you have been at the fore of this for decades now. I think that you were the pioneer.
Tarot cards, yes, I would say.
Because I remember like going way back when, and everyone was like, wow, Mariam Aftab is going to do tarot cards, and it's just so fascinating. So tell me, what are tarot cards?
You see, tarot cards is very ancient.
Yes.
It has a European origin. But tarot cards is, of course, what you can, in a simple layman's term, a form of fortune telling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have a deck of cards.
You have a deck of cards and you decipher each card and then you make a whole thing and make a reading, give a reading for that.
That's really interesting. And like you said, a tarot card, the art of reading is a very ancient one.
Yes.
And it goes back like thousands of years.
Yeah.
Right. And Azhar, you, amongst the many things that you do, you're also an astrologer.
Yes, I'm an astrologer as well.
And that again is also one of those ancient ways of sort of reading the world and understanding the world around us. So what's the difference between astrology and astronomy?
Well, basically, both are very different.
Right.
Astrology and astronomy both are very different. In astronomy, you just study the planetary movements.
Right.
And how the space and the planets are interacting with each other, and how the movement is happening in the sky. But in astrology, you read the impact of those gravitational forces of those planets on the earth, on the people, on everything which is living on the earth.
Right.
So that is the difference basically.
Okay, interesting. So there's this idea that gravity and the position of the planets in the universe, and this is probably just our Milky Way, our cosmos at the moment.
When we are living in a solar system actually.
Yes.
So we are studying, in astrology, we are studying only our solar system.
Right.
Because that impacts. Maybe as the research grows up and we go into the further research, maybe we find further Milky Ways and further territories.
Galaxies. I think Milky Way was far too vast.
Exactly.
A very big scale. We're looking at our solar system. But that's really fascinating, that gravity and the position of planets. So it really kind of boils down to energy then, doesn't it?
Yes, basically the whole universe is based on energy.
Yes.
So everything is based on energy. We are made of 4 elements. Okay. So the whole universe is made of 4 elements. So that is how it all interacts with each other and have impacts.
So, and then different elements will interact at different sort of intensities at different times according to where everything is.
Exactly.
In the, at the moment.
Exactly.
So, does it sort of go in cycles?
Well, yes, planetary movements are all definitely in cycles. Like our Earth rotates around Sun in 365 days. This is a cycle of 365 days. Yeah. So every planet has its own cycle.
Right.
Like Venus has 84 days, Mercury has a few days less, Mars has a bit more days.
Okay.
So everything has its own cycle actually.
Right. Because Mercury was in retrograde recently.
Yes.
I've had a very good time blaming Mercury for everything that's gone wrong in the past 4 or 5 months. I'm like,
there are many myths about Mercury getting retrograde. It's like people recommend don't get into arguments, don't get into any agreements or something like that. But it depends on personal horoscope.
Okay.
How it is actually impacting him. It could give them some good results.
Oh, so I can't blame all the bad stuff on Mercury. No. It depends on what my horoscope is at the moment.
It depends all. It impacts you on a different level. It impacts Mariam on a different level. It impacts on me on a different level actually.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to sort of cycle back to this because intrigue, curious cat on the set here. So tarot cards, so they're different from what I remember when I know about tarot cards, is that each card has a different person on it. The different sort of people, the figures.
like if you go Ryder Cup, you have wands, pentacles, swords.
Right.
So they're different suits. Yes, you can say
Okay,
that.
okay. So how does it sort of, now again, I think that a lot of, now I don't want to say occult because it makes it sound more kind of witchy, and it's really not. And again, like with astronomy and astrology and tarot card readings and palmistry.
Let me make that very simple, and
Yes.
let's not go into very complicated stuff so that people could understand that. You come for a reading,
Yeah.
and you take out your spread,
Yeah.
and now sometimes some incident can start from immediate, sometimes it could start from your childhood.
Right.
So it's no hard and fast rule that, okay, I'm going to tell you 15 years ago what happened. I can tell you even more, or I can tell you which is the strongest, as he said, energy which is coming
Yes.
out. Like, for instance, one of the most fascinating reading and scary one
Ooh.
is that even now that scares me.
Really?
Yeah. A friend of mine called me up and she said, I'm sending a friend and you please do her reading and don't charge her.
Okay.
I said, okay, fine. So a woman came, veiled,
Oh.
had gloves and was wearing glasses.
Okay.
So I thought maybe this someone I know and they are trying to test me.
Right.
And they have disguised her.
Ah.
And so I said, so you see, when anybody's in hiding,
Quite right.
the energy flow is a little
Obstructed. Because it's about connection with other people as
so
well.
what I said, okay, let me hurry. So I saw a card which was like fire.
Ooh.
Then I saw a card was a death, a rebirth, death. I for a minute, I said, oh my God, this person's in trouble. Now I could not decipher what type of trouble. Okay? But it was like panic inside. And I usually like you have this glass of water. I had water. And I said, it looks like a rebirthing. I said, what should I say? Let me take some future cards and see if there's some hope.
Oh.
So I saw a little bit of hope, and so I said, I'll start with hope instead of starting with the negative.
Yeah.
So I said, past spread is not that good, but there's hope. So she looked at me and she abused me in the worst
Oh,
form
dear.
ever. And she threw this glass and she said, liar. I said, well, this joke is going, what is this? She said, I don't believe in all these things, but I've come because this friend of yours insisted. So you want to see what rebirth and death have been through? And she unveiled. And my God, that is the moment that I cannot still forget. She was an acid burn victim.
Oh my God.
Her face was totally, and then she took off her gloves. And her fingers were like this. I said, oh my God, I wish she had, briefed me. Later on, I mentioned this in my book called Journey of Insights, how I had a journey with her.
Yes.
And then when we finished the appointment, what happened was that the husband who had thrown acid was coming to take her. That was another.
What?
Yes. That's in my book, Journey of Insight.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go and read it right now.
So I had to keep her in my house. And then at night, we had an extreme, what a good spirit that was.
Really?
So in the Journey of Insight, I call it unveiling. So that is something which was, it started from when I started with hope, got an abuse for that, and then got a responsibility. So when you dip into each reading, you're dipping into people's soul.
Yes.
You cannot give a good reading unless you feel their pain.
Okay.
And so for, like a 20-minute or a 25-minute session, if a boy is in love, then I probably can feel that. And that is when I wrote my poetry CD.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
What a Renaissance woman, huh?
So, I said today, because somebody asked me, do you do face reading or what?
Yeah.
No, it's a soul group correction.
Right.
So there was this guy, and he used to come and he used to talk about, I miss my girlfriend, and there was nothing else to it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I said, when you left, I said, yeah, what does he feel? So it goes like this, missing you is like breathing. I do it all the time. Eating, walking, sleeping. without reason, without rhyme, with you on my mind. So this is on SoundCloud.
That's so nice. Somebody should like put it to music.
Yeah, we have it on
Oh, you
SoundCloud
have?
with music.
Oh, well done. Look at me, sort of
You go to
predicting the
SoundCloud
future.
and you, it's called Missing You.
Oh, how lovely.
And it has, Amir Munawar is a musician friend, so I took it to him and we had background music. So this whole journey, I think it's, because when I was going into this profession, you know, it was not very well respected because number one, they said tarot reading, somebody said parrot reading, you know, and I thought that, you know, from a background that I come, why am I doing this? And I always wanted to run away from it. But the minute I saw...
So you wanted to kind of ignore that?
No. Like
calling?
I wanted to have a main profession, something else, and this could be... So in order for people not to come to me, like on a, you know, because friends use, so I started to charge.
Right.
I had a photography studio though. The minute I decided that I had started charging for my time, I said, oh my God, I owe it to them. That was, and maybe a divine step bring me in this. So I think these fields, as he's saying, mind science, it can be very fascinating.
Yeah.
But if you do it, it's more creative. The more creatively you do it, the more you enjoy it and the better outcome it gives. So it's basically like painting, basically it's like poetry, but you have to be pure to the content of connection with the other person.
Do you feel like it's equally important to have that connection when you are sort of putting together a horoscope?
Definitely, that is very important. If you are not connected, you are not connected to the client, you cannot understand what he is going through. When you open a chart, you can read everything which is going on.
Right. So what's a chart?
Horoscope, basically the horoscope. I'm talking about the horoscope. So when you're reading the horoscope, you can see what he went through, what is coming up front for him or her, whatever it is. But I would like to add something where the Mariam says where the people are very negative about.
Yes, because you know, it's sort of seen very with this air of suspicion.
Basically, that is because people are not educated about this knowledge in our country.
Okay.
They take it like a superstitious. They want the astrologers to change their destinies. But this is not like astrology and tarot card or these subjects. They cannot change the destiny. They can just be a guideline. It is not about changing the destiny. But people come to us, give us something to read, something to do. We will consult you, we will pay you the fee, but this thing should be done.
Ooh, but it's not a menu, you know. You can't like order something on the menu and say, okay, I'll have this now.
Yes, that is the problem. That is the problem which people don't understand here.
Right.
People do need to understand that I think this platform is very good, that we can even discuss and we can convey the message to the masses.
Yes.
That this is not the knowledge to change the destiny. This is not to change something, but this is to understand yourself and to change yourself, to impact and have good results.
So I think that's really important, is that these kind of sciences or these practices are a way to kind of foster a deeper understanding of ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
So that's interesting. And we're going to take a very quick break and come back to talk more about this fascinating subject right here on the coffee table. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. We're talking to Mariam Aftab and Azhar Salim about all these about different ways of understanding the world, really. And you know, Azhar, before we went to the break, we were talking about this, about how tarot cards or palmistry or astrology is all sorts of ways for us to understand ourselves better. It's not some kind of band-aid or some sort of fix-all that if you know a problem, then somebody else can tell you how to fix it.
Well, if there is a problem, it will definitely take some time to heal.
Right.
So astrologer can guide you about that time period, how to go through that time period. That's what can do.
Okay.
But that's what the astrologer or tarot card reader or whoever the mind sciences related person is, that is what he can do. But if you say that just cure us now, that is not possible.
As it would be for any illness.
Exactly.
Any physical illness as well.
You have to go through a process actually.
So there's a journey to healing.
Exactly.
That's really interesting that an astrologer or somebody who is a palmist or a tarot card reader can sort of help you navigate that journey.
Exactly.
But they can't do it for you either.
No, you see, people,
Well, of course.
he's absolutely right. people here, they want a magic pill and that magic pill should do everything. But what I've seen, because when I used to do therapy sessions, you see the power of suggestion when you go to a tarot card reader or an astrologer is very strong.
Okay.
So
do you feel it's more strong than if somebody
if a
was to
therapist
kind of-
tells you, oh, you're a sick person going to a therapist, when something like that, when you feel it's destined, it's going to happen, then the power of suggestion is very, very strong. So you can, in fact, it's a very big responsibility. Somebody is coming to you because you can't make decisions for them.
Yes,
You
of
can guide them,
course.
as he mentioned, but if you do it well, I think it's one of the most fulfilling fields that you can be in. Because just to decipher what's wrong with you and what you're going to do, it's just what? Storytelling.
Okay.
But if you can, if they commit to you, and that's why I preferred be called a healer now, because then you go through the journey of healing with them. Like this guy who was one-sidedly in love with somebody, the only solace was that he could talk to someone. And he spoke so much that in the end he outgrew it, okay?
Oh, okay. So he sort of came out on the other side.
Yeah.
But
so,
he had someone like you to kind of keep
but
him company on that
But
path.
if people like him, who is like a little bit of multidimensional, like you have NLP and then you have astrology, then you have more knowledge to guide. So I think to be multi-talented and multi-educated in this is definitely a way to help. Otherwise, I won't do a storytelling. This is going to happen. Your mother-in-law is going to do this. Like
the usual.
you see, because I won't want to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in do. I'm interested in how, because I worked with Idi Saab and we went to Italy.
Okay.
And my bag got stolen when we were in a train. So I was reciting in Raju.
Yes,
and
what you're supposed to do now.
and I had a passport, it had all the visas. So he said, look, you're going to open a charity shop. You're going to do Hukukul Abad. So you're going to find your bag. So come. And believe me, we landed.
And if Idi Saab says that, I would believe it too.
You see? And then and in the way I had my credit card cancelled, money was kept by his son Faisal, so he was going to get an award there. And I'm very careless with jewelry. So my mother had given me these lovely diamond earrings.
Oh, brave
to be
of her.
worn. And they were in that zip.
Oh,
So I
gosh.
said, she's going to kill me. And
I
she's
know,
there.
more than the thief, one would be terrified of telling your mother that,
I said,
oh,
what
I lost
the
the
hell?
earring.
I said, Ya Allah, Bismillah. Do you know the earrings were there? And I told Idizab, he said, I told you if you're doing Hukukul Abad. So another thing which I added to the healing center was that if we were to heal and if we were to, while healing, earning money, then we need to spend it on community service. So that is why our project now of hearing aid impaired to give hearing.
That's really lovely. And I want to sort of come back to that in a second when we talk about the larger sort of aspects of healing in the work that you're doing. But Azhar Saab, you mentioned that people come to you with these kind of problems that Mariam mentioned, everyday normal sort of family problems.
Exactly.
And, what will, and I imagine now, like, marriages, when will I get married? Will I get a first in my BA? So do you find that a lot of people's problems are actually, what kind of issues do people come with?
Well,
I don't want to presume.
Again, the horizon in our country is very different than the Western world.
Okay, how so?
Fortunately, my most of clientage is from West.
Okay.
In Pakistan, it's very limited clientage. The people only who
exclusive.
who knew me or who are who just a friend or something. Someone referred.
Right. So a referral.
Yes. Very limited. But
do you find that that's you? I'm sort of on a tangent here, but because of the nature of the work that you do, you prefer referrals make it safer for you to do your work as well?
Yes, you can say that, but the thing is this, that just to avoid that particular sort of clientage, which we're just talking about, that who are just coming for to make the change in their life, not through the process, but they want
just as a quick fix.
Yeah, quick fix. So I just try to avoid those sort of clientage.
Right.
So that is why I preferred consulting online and having foreign clientage. So the thing is this, that yes, people do come for their relationship problems or other issues, family issues. And there is a way of settling everything down. Just like Mariam says, that counseling them. And it tend to happen that I've been able to fix a couple of marriages.
Wow.
Yes.
Good for you. And you also
do something like that,
Yes.
then you are being productive, and it's sort of very satisfying to do
they are
what you're
Right.
doing.
And again, like if you're part of somebody's healing journey, then I imagine that you form a relationship with the client and you are invested in their progress as well. And that's very personal.
Yes, exactly. The people, there was a client who was about on the verge of a divorce with his wife.
Right.
I just told him just to wait, hold on, and not to do just give it a time, some more time. I just try to stretch it to the extent when when the bad time period, which was shown on the horoscope, just passed away, and then the things turned better.
Wow.
Now they are living happily.
That's so nice. That's so nice. And other than your horoscopes, you also are a hypnotist, and you also do you're also an NLP practitioner.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, it's a neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Okay. So it is like you can tune your mind to achieve your goals in a particular way.
Okay. So from sort of now neuro because brain and then linguistic speech.
Yes.
So you can sort of tell your brain, you can sort of tell your brain to do better.
Do better, yes. But how to do that? How to do better?
Right.
What you need to do? That is where NLP works.
Okay.
NLP practitioner guides you, takes you through the process, the whole process, how it works, and what things you need to do, what things you need to choose, how you need to choose.
Right.
It does not.
There's like a science to it.
Yes. The thing is this: that NLP practitioner does not tell you to do this or do that.
Right.
It brings out it of yourself.
Okay. All right. That's very Socratic.
Yes. That is how it works, actually.
Wow. So basically, how is this different from therapy, for example?
Well, NLP is basically counseling therapy, actually.
Okay.
It is actually counseling.
Right.
Hypnosis is a bit different, but that is suggestive, totally suggestive, and it can be inducted, induced. But NLP is totally what I was saying is, sorry.
We'll cut it out.
I can sort of relate to him. You see, like he was saying that, he helped some couples through marriages. So there was this very regular client and very, very aggressive and was doing very well and had a broken relationship. And he couldn't sleep, and, he was not, he used to dress up very well, and he was like bad.
Well presented on the outside, but very upset on the inside.
No, he was good on the inside out, but he was going through a rough phase. So he came to me and he said, I said, no, this guy is not in his element. I said, you're like you're like a stock I bought. Okay? He was a banker and an investment banker. So he said, what?
Like how
I said, you're a stock that I had to buy or you sold yourself. Now you have to be good. Otherwise, I can't afford a loss in the stock. So that sort of humored him so much. Yeah. Then he said, okay, how would you like your stock to go up?
Yeah.
And the therapy went on, or the reading went on like that.
So a lot of the work that both of you do has a lot to do with reading other people as well and understanding the psyche of how people think.
You see, this was what I said was not very, it was something spontaneous that I had said. Yeah. So, because my connection with each client is like that, probably the energies, So he had to be humored to be cheered up, not by discussing a problem, but totally something new, which sort of geared him up. So and he could relate to figures, so that connected.
So do you think that in spite of all the skepticism and all this, people are suspicious of these kind of practices and this kind of ways of doing things, which is strange to me because on the one hand, a lot of these practices originated from this part of the world. you know, like I was reading about palmistry, for example, and that came from the Indian subcontinent like thousands of years ago, and it's mentioned in the Vedas, and you know, you had Aristotle writing about it, and interest in palmistry or the tarot or the planets and horoscopes has existed for thousands of years and continues to do so. So there's obviously, so where do you think that interest obviously comes from? A sense that there is more.
You see, anybody who would
and there are
talk...
different ways of understanding the world.
See, this is very simple. Anything that is connected to my life, or anybody taking interest in my life and telling me is very exciting. Why won't I do that? If I had someone, I would probably go there and say, okay, what do I do next to get higher? So this is something which will always stay.
You know, because I think it probably connects with this very sort of human
and now,
desire for guidance.
With a lot of change because of the social media and because things are going faster, we're losing relationships. It's out there to prove. So all the more need for, I would call it, if it's a purely, interaction, then a spiritual experience as to find out. So I think it's very soothing.
Quite right. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. And I'm going to come back after the break, talk more about connection and, you know, the world we live in today, modern era connections. So we're going to take a very quick break and stay with us. Welcome back to the coffee table. We're continuing with this wonderful conversation with Mariam Aftab and Azhar Salim. And we were talking about, before the break, we were talking about how now in the sort of modern world that we live in now, and we know we're very high tech, but at the same time, we still have this very human need to connect with each other and this very human need for guidance and to feel like we're not alone in this journey that we're on. Everybody has their own personal journey of growth and somehow maybe reaching out to a palmist or a tarot or to a healer of any kind.
You see, I would, the shift of the social media where you're posting on Instagram and Facebook, what's happening, that you're showing the world what you want to show by posting pictures, and social media is very positive as far as you want to, if you're curious, you want to know, you want to find out a good location or a good book or a good movie. But what happens
general research
that you tend to have few friends because the time that, my mother was, they didn't have to call up or have a WhatsApp group and have timing. They would just drop by and, they would unwind and talk. And one of my nephews said, I'm going on a play date. I said, what's a play date? So my sister says he's going to his mother's friend's house to play. We used to go all the time. So now it's called a play date.
Yes, so it's more fancy now.
So that makes you very, very lonely. And anybody, I repeat anybody, you have to be pure in your readings, and you have to feel that for that time, that is the most important. For that 25 minutes, the person opposite you is the most important thing.
That's really interesting, that sort of idea of purity. Now, Azhar, because, again, sort of coming back to your work as an astrologer, so does that sort of translate to horoscopes as well and to a chart? Because, I don't know, like I'm a lay person, right? So the idea that, the planets and the charts and everyone's horoscope is different, how can it be different for everybody? The planets are what they are.
Well, the planets what they are, but they are continuously moving.
Right.
Okay. I don't remember exactly when it published, but there was a research that showed that the DNA coding, you know the shape of the DNA coding?
Yes, the helix.
So the planetary movement at the time of birth is exactly the same movement, same sort of strip, which is the DNA coding strip.
Really?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yes, that is the research actually.
Okay.
And that is where astrology is moving toward in the West.
Okay.
We don't have any research-oriented work in Pakistan and India, but West is moving far way ahead in this.
Really? You think that with the advent of modern technology, we might have sort of gone away from these ancient sort of practices, but actually people are getting more and more interested in them. And now you have more science behind it as well. And now, because again, like on social media, there's a lot of talk about, you have where your sun is and where your moon is, and people are doing charts.
Well, the social media is, I say there is a mixed approach to the social media. There are many people who are just faking to be an astrologer or faking to be a spiritual sort of so-called spiritual healers or something like that.
So how can you know if someone's a fake? Who's real and who's not?
It's very difficult actually. But the thing is, my rule is very simple. Whoever promised you to change your destiny is fake.
Something to remember. Don't get scammed on the internet.
That is my definition of being a scam actually. If someone promises you or claims that he can change your destiny, he cannot be trusted because no one can change the destiny.
Right.
It's only you who can develop it yourself through a process, but no one else can.
I feel in the Eastern Tarot, there's a card called Dua.
Okay.
And that is a very, very important card in every reading of mine. Now, what is Dua? Dua is again what he said, redefining your priority. If you pray 5 times a day, now I say, oh, my health should be good. Previously, I said, I want this car, so it keeps on changing. I feel that your destiny can be changed. It can be changed if you are connected with the cosmic and have dua. Most definitely, words, this is very important. Words of wisdom of Maula Ali. Somebody was trying to, play some trick on him, and he said, if you're such a philosopher, then explain fate in just 2 lines.
Right.
And he said, okay, stand on your one leg.
Right.
That's fate, and the other one is free will. I feel the strength of prayer is so strong. You can change your destiny.
Yes, you can, but no one else can.
You see, for instance,
so you have to make that door. You have
to do the process.
You have to kind of put that energy out into the world.
For instance, you have a person who has an anger management issue.
Right. Which many of us do.
Okay. Now, Ya Halim, O God's name, should be recited either in an adduction of hypnosis and should be taught, and that could change it.
Right.
All right? And then if you have an evil eye, then you can do it. A lot of things, spirituality has a lot of power. I think a lot can be changed.
Quite right. And a lot of people who do work with healing work with crystals and chakras and Reiki, for example, that's that whole idea again of harnessing the energy of the universe and sort of becoming, attuning one's mind and one's body
everyone who's working on chakras or Reiki, they're transferring the energy so you can get strengthened. So you can work it out yourself.
Right.
That is what they're doing actually.
Okay. So I suppose it's sort of finding ways to self-enlightenment, really.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's sort of kind of balancing your own energies to be in harmony with the universe.
Yeah.
I think that's really beautiful. And it's also so simple. It sounds, ultimately it's simple, isn't it?
Let me make it more simpler. Okay, you want to be in shape. So you go join a gym, you have a trainer and you say, okay, I want to lose from here. I want to have the 6-pack ab. So if you're a little stressed out here, not messed up, a little stressed out and messed up. You go to a healer or people out there who are in this practice and help them guide, like you go to a trainer for physical training. So as simple as that.
So sort of spiritual.
As simple as that, because you look after your body, you have certain foods, you go to the gym, now you have apps counting your steps.
Yes, so quite annoying actually.
I was in London
and how much water you drunk.
I was in London and there was this, I did a seminar on stress. My sister was doing.
Right.
So what happened was they had this gadget, we measured the stress levels, and after we did a meditation, the stress levels were less.
Wow. So now you have science kind of corroborating what these practices are doing. And do you find that, is that kind of reassuring to kind of be able to say that, well, we have this machine that can measure your brain waves and can measure your stress levels, and it's legitimizing all this work that's being done.
Well, the biomedics is taking charge all over the places. Exactly. And even the medical practitioners are changing to the natural healing methods. So there is a lot of research to develop some instruments who can measure your body energy and things like that. Actually, there is a whole process going through right now nowadays.
Wow, that's really fascinating, because then you're again coming back to where we started, is that all of this, there's much more to it.
Oh, definitely. You
than
see,
people imagine.
it's like a movie. You don't know. It's like your show. How many people behind the screens are actually producing it? Yeah. So it's much more than meets the eye. Much more than that.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. This was wonderful. I hope that you guys have had a fantastic time watching this, as much fun as I have had watching this, hosting this show. And in Shakespeare, in Hamlet, there is a line where Hamlet says that there are more things in heaven and earth that are dreamt of in your philosophy. And that's exactly what we've been talking about today. So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Coffee Table. Bye now.